Right now, wherever you sleep, the room is holding a lie. One flat temperature, all night long, set by a little box on the wall, and your body quietly hates it. It just hasn't told you why yet. For almost every night in your species' history, the second the sun went down, the world started going cold, and kept getting colder until just before dawn. Your body learned to ride that cold down into sleep. Then, 100 years ago, someone figured out how to make the cold stop. We called it comfort, and we've been lying awake at 3 a.m. ever since. Because here's the strange part. Somewhere tonight, a man sleeps in a hut of grass and branches, no mattress, no heating, and he's out in minutes. You, on a mattress that cost more than everything he owns, stare at the ceiling. This is why ancient humans slept better in a tiny hut than you do in a mansion, explained. Let's start with what everybody gets wrong. The story you've heard is that our ancestors slept like the dead. Sun goes down, cave gets dark, caveman drops for 10, 11, 12 glorious hours. No screens, no emails, just deep, clean, ancient sleep. And the dream that comes with that story is simple. If you could just get back to nature, you'd finally sleep the way you were built to. Jerome Siegel decided to actually check. He's a sleep researcher at UCLA, 40 years running a lab, spent his whole career on this one question. And the idea that cracked it open came from a completely different animal. Years earlier, Siegel had been recording sleep in wild African elephants, and he noticed something odd. The wild ones slept nothing like the elephants in zoos. Same animal, completely different sleep, and it stuck with him. If a zoo could scramble how an elephant sleeps, what had 100 years of walls, lights, and heating done to us? There was only one way to find out. Go study the humans still living without any of it. So he handed little watch-sized trackers to anthropologists heading into the field, and they strapped them onto 3 groups who have never owned a light bulb, let alone a thermostat. The Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, the Tsimane in Bolivia. 94 people, over 1,000 nights of sleep recorded. People who sleep in grass huts and feel the cold roll in at night the exact way every human did for 100,000 years. And the first thing he found blew up the whole fantasy. They don't sleep more than you. They sleep less, about 6.5 hours a night, the low end of what people in cities get. They don't nap much either. So that dream of ancient super sleep, Siegel's data quietly killed it. Getting back to nature doesn't buy you more hours in bed. But that's not the surprise. Here's the surprise. Almost none of them have insomnia. In your world, somewhere between 1 in 10 and 1 in 3 people wrestle with it. In theirs, between 1 and 3 people in 100. 2 of the groups don't even have a word for insomnia. Siegel's team had to stop and explain the concept because lying in bed unable to sleep wasn't a thing that happened to them. So they sleep less than you, on the ground with no mattress, and they sleep fine. The obvious question is, what are they doing that you're not? It's not the dark. Watch closely, and they don't crash when the sun sets. They stay up for hours after, building small fires, eating, talking, telling stories in the cold night air. On average, they don't fall asleep until more than 3 hours after sunset. Staying up late isn't a modern sin. Your ancestors did it too. Here's the thing they do that you can't. They fall asleep exactly as the night starts turning cold, and they wake at the single coldest moment of the whole day, right before dawn. Their sleep doesn't ride the light, it rides the cold. Down the whole night, following the temperature to the bottom. And that turns out to be the entire secret. Because deep in your body's wiring, the cold is the signal. To fall asleep, your core temperature has to drop about a degree. That internal cooldown is part of what tips you under. For 100,000 years, the night handled the cold for you, from the outside. The fire dies down, the walls are thin. The cold seeps in through the grass and the branches. Your body feels the world going cold around it and reads it as an order. This is it. Sleep now. No decision, no effort. The falling cold pulls you under like a tide. It holds you there, colder and colder through the night, then drops you at the single coldest moment right before dawn. And that's your wake up. Sleep on the way down, wake at the bottom. The cold runs the whole thing. And this is where it gets personal, because you come from these people, not humans in the abstract, you specifically. Your great, however many times great-grandmother slept in a shelter that let the cold pour in over her every single night. So did hers. So did every ancestor standing behind you, all the way back. Every one of them fell asleep as the cold came down, and woke in the cold before dawn. Millions of years of it, stacked up in your body, and your body still shows up every night expecting the cold to come, waiting for it. That's the deal it was built on. Then someone invented the box on the wall. Central heating, air conditioning. A machine whose entire job is to catch the temperature and pin it in place. One number, 21 degrees, whatever you set. It holds that number flat from the second you climb in until your alarm goes off. The cold never comes. Night falls outside, and your room stays exactly as warm as it was at dinner. And so the signal never fires. You're lying there in a warm, still, cold-proofed room that, to sleep machinery, 100,000 years old, feels like it's permanently 7 in the evening. Your body is standing at the door with its coat on, waiting for the cue to sleep. And the cue never arrives. So you wait, and you scroll, and you wonder what's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You just built a bedroom your ancestors would have found completely broken. Oh, and someone's already figured out how to sell the fix back to you. Out in Silicon Valley, they'll happily sell you a bed that cools itself down through the night on a timer, so the temperature falls around you the way it used to. Recreates the cold, for about 2,500 shinies, plus a monthly subscription, to feel the exact thing a grass hut in the cold night gave your great-great-grandmother for free. Look at the thermostat on your wall tonight. That number it's holding, that steady, comfortable, always warm number you set yourself, is very likely the reason you're awake at 3 a.m. And here's the tell. Sometime in the middle of the night, you kick one leg out from under the blanket. You've done it 1,000 times. That's not random. That's your body, desperate, reaching for a patch of cold. It's been promised for 100,000 years and can't find anywhere in the warm room. So give the cold back, crack the window, turn the heating down before bed, and let the room go cold, a few degrees at a time, through the night. A cold bedroom is the one piece of tired sleep advice this study actually backed up. Not because cold is cozy, it isn't, but because a falling temperature is the oldest sleep signal you have. And if your sleep is genuinely wrecked, the grinding, months-long kind, a cracked window isn't the cure. Real insomnia is a real disorder, and that's a conversation with a doctor, not a thermostat setting. But for a lot of people, the room really is the thing fighting them. Somewhere tonight, in a hut you'd call poverty, a person is lying on the hard ground with no mattress and no lock on the door, the cold rolling in through the walls. And by the time you finish this, they'll already be asleep. Just the cold doing what the cold has always done, carrying them under. And you, in your sealed, heated, cold-proof bedroom, are losing a war against a thermostat you set with your own hand. A machine you bought specifically to keep out the one thing that could put you to sleep. The cold was never the problem. It was the whole solution. Every night you set that number and climb into a warm, still room, you're overriding an instruction older than your species. The one that says when the world goes cold, you sleep. Your ancestor never had to think about it once. The night thought about it for them. Satire about fictional cavemen in a make-believe jungle. Please don't sue Og. If Og just explained why your fancy hut can't outsleep a grass one, subscribe. The tribe sleeps better together.